What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Cardinal Red, and we back for some more of that Ali Land boxing talk, people. And today we talking Manny Pacquiao wins greatest boxer of the 21st century. Wow, you know, the accolades just keep piling up for the great Filipino boxer, Manny Pacquiao. I should say boxer and senator, Manny Pacquiao. And I was reading through an article, and this article was through, hold on, let me check it out real quick. This article is through, I don't know why it does that. What was I reading? Here we go. Sports Bible. So according to the Sports Bible, the 50 greatest boxers of the 21st century have been named. And to everyone's surprise, no, not to my surprise, the number one name on this list is Senator Manny Pacquiao. So I'm going to take you guys through the top. Let's go through the top. Let's do the top 10. Alright, so the top 10 for the 50 greatest boxers of the 21st century are Joe Calzaghe. I've actually never seen him fight. I've heard his name a lot, but never actually watched him fight. Bernard Hopkins, big Bernard Hopkins fan. I feel like B-Hop, unfortunately, didn't get his just due till later in his career. And if he would have had the spotlight earlier on in his career, you know, his whole executioner image, it was brilliant, man. You know, I like B-Hop, great boxer. Oscar De La Hoya, got to see him fight. Wasn't a huge Oscar fan, but did get to see Oscar De La Hoya fight. And it was pretty dynamic. You know, the best fight I can remember from Oscar De La Hoya's career would have to be De La Hoya and Pacquiao, you know. Because I didn't follow De La Hoya that heavy because I wasn't a big fan. So Joe Calzaghe's 10, Bernard Hopkins is number 9, Oscar De La Hoya is number 8, number 7, Lennox Lewis. Now, I didn't like Lennox Lewis at all until, tell you the truth, I really don't like Lennox Lewis. And only for one reason, is because I was a huge Mike Tyson fan, and it hurt so bad to see Mike Tyson be brutalized by Lennox Lewis. And the greatest memory I have of Lennox Lewis in the sport of boxing is him beating Mike Tyson. And I hate Lennox Lewis for that fact. So Lennox Lewis is number 7. Surprisingly, Mike Tyson is number 6 above Lennox Lewis. So number 6 would be Mike Tyson. Amazing boxer to watch. You know, was a big Mike Tyson fan. Got to see him do some spectacular, once-in-a-lifetime things. You know, there'll never be a knockout puncher with the abilities of Mike Tyson again, and with the same, you know, with the same build and size. For him to be able to do that to bigger guys at his size, it was amazing to watch. Number 5, going into the top 5 now, I call him Waldimir Klitschko. Or I don't know how everybody else pronounces, but Waldimir Klitschko, number 5. Great boxer. Follow both the Klitschkos, you know. Both of those guys were spectacular for what they do. You know, the gripe I have with heavyweight boxing is guys they'll be so big, but they're not like dominant, quick fighters. But Waldimir was a pretty quick for a heavyweight. I think I like Vitaly a little bit more, even though Vitaly was, I don't know which one was the better Klitschko, but you know, I can't argue with Waldimir, being number 5 on the all-time greatest boxers list. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. All right, so number 4, we got Roy Jones Jr. What else can be said? You can just say Roy Jones' name, and you know, you can't show any disrespect. I didn't like Roy Jones up until the last few years of his career. I think, for me, I just didn't like the cockiness of Roy Jones. You know, I don't like the cockiness of Floyd Mayweather either, but I thought he was just way too cocky until I actually saw what he was able to do in the ring. And it still wasn't until the later portions of his career, and I'm not even going to lie, that's when he started getting knocked out, but kept going, that I said, okay, you know, the guy, even though he's losing, he has such a heavy passion for the sport. He won't let that deter him. He's still trying to be a champion. And unfortunately, at the end, it didn't end very well for him. But you know, you can't argue with the spectacular nature of which Roy Jones Jr. just dominated guys. So I can't argue with that. Number 3, very surprising, Gennady Golovkin. They got Gennady Golovkin as number 3 of the greatest boxers of the 21st century. And surprisingly, Canelo Alvarez ain't on this list. So I really don't understand how Gennady Golovkin, number 1, makes number 3 on this list, but number 2, Canelo, is not on the list, and Gennady is on the list. So I'm not sure about that one. So we're just going to skip Gennady. No disrespect to Gennady Golovkin. He made number 3, but I don't think he deserves to be that high up on the list, and I definitely don't think he deserves to be above Canelo Alvarez. Number 2, of course, you got the one, the only, Floyd Mayweather Jr. What else can you say about Floyd Mayweather Jr.? A lot of people feel like he dominated, you know, the past few decades of boxing because he never took a loss. I mean, you can argue that to the T, you know, why taking a loss doesn't matter. He's a cupcake picker, you know. He likes cherries. I mean, it is what it is. The man's done what he's did in the sport. One thing I always do say good about Floyd Mayweather is he changed the dynamic of money. I won't say, matter of fact, I'm take that back. Mike Tyson changed the dynamic of money in the sport of boxing. Floyd Mayweather took it to a whole nother level. And I actually think if it wasn't for Oscar De La Hoya, he would never have been able to reach that level because Oscar was bringing the pay-per-view numbers in that were, I think, that were higher than Mayweather's. And then Mayweather just kind of took that over, you know, by stealing that whole Cinco de Mayo date and everything. So, and then you got the number 1 greatest boxer of the 21st century, the one, the only, 40-year-old dominant champion, Manny Pacquiao. You know, he got gypped on Fighter of the Decade. He won Fighter of the Year. You know, he's been Fighter of the Decade. He's a champion for, 4 or 5 decades. I mean, just ridiculous things. 8 different divisions. What more can you say about Manny Pacquiao? He deserves this. The fact that he's still active. You can't overlook the fact that he just beat Keith Thurman. He dominated Adrian Broner. Made Lucas Matisse look like it was his first fight. I mean, I'm still upset that he didn't get his just due on his second Fighter of the Decade, but I feel like the greatest boxer of the 21st century, it says a lot, and it should mean a lot to Manny Pacquiao to win this award. How is he going to finish 2020 off? I'm not sure. You know, I'm hoping it's going to be with some big things. Maybe a surprise fight. You know, maybe he gets to unify some titles. A lot of stuff to talk about. But let me know what y'all think down in the comment section about Manny Pacquiao being the greatest boxer of the 21st century. Not only being that, but he beat out a lot of other big names to become the greatest boxer of the 21st century. Also, let me know what y'all think about Canelo not being in the top 10. He is in the top 20, but I won't tell you where. We can do that in another video. But hit that like button for me. Please subscribe. Always leave me a comment. This is Cardinal Red, Ali Lamb Boxing Talk, and we out of here.